Tron Ares is coming out later this year. We'll see what happens.
I'm excited, but I think I'm going to be disappointed.
I'm going to be disappointed, especially if Jared Leto does not do very good and he goes crazy.
Jared Leto would never be bad in a movie.
I think Tron Ares is going to absolutely suck. Tron Legacy, if we watch it now, would not have had the same effect to it. Me being in that age that I watched it in and it having that nostalgic effect on me, if they made the equivalent movie now with Tron Ares, I think I would really dislike it.
To see the third movie coming out, Tron Legacy, is this a movie the audience needs to watch? Or do we say pass?
You gotta be kidding me.
Tron Legacy is one of the most deeply misunderstood movies that I think is a masterpiece for what Disney had put out.
And it was his Disney-esque take on The Matrix.
It wrestles with the early on ideas of how do you deal with AI. It is surprising to me how much I resonated with the movie while the story was lacking.
Similar to Bruce Wayne in Batman, he's mid-20s, son of a billionaire company, who's got a lot of power and he wants to prove his worth, trying to find his dad. It's a connection kind of with like Bruce Wayne had with his parents. Unlike Batman, you don't get to see Sam really struggle. You don't get to endure his training. He's just good immediately. And then Jeff Bridges and Olivia Wilde characters kind of take it from there.
My biggest gripe is just Jeff Bridges. I think he was put in this movie as an association to the old film, the older audience to want to see him in the new one. I thought he was pretty poorly done. When you see him introduced to Sam and they're talking, he just like has that like I don't care attitude. A lot of the story just lacked. The only point he had in this was that he wasn't in Sam's life. He finds him and then
He's the equivalent of Harrison Ford as Han Solo in the sequel trilogy.
Exactly. It brought back the nostalgic.
Yeah, that's what he did. I liked at the dinner table when they're kind of asking Sam some questions. Felt like that was the moment where I could relate to him. You know, he's a guy, I think he's 27, no girlfriend. Not too impressive with his job. It was just like, all right, I can relate to this guy. He hasn't really found where he wants to be in life. I think it tailed off with the story because, yeah, you don't get to see his struggles. He all of a sudden finds his dad. His dad really steals the show from there. It just lacks the conflict and struggle that a good written story has.
The whole goal of the movie was to try to convince his father to go and to escape. It's a weird conflict and it doesn't resonate very well with me.
the nostalgic part of me would consider this a masterpiece just for the amount of time I watched it. I think the parts of the story that really lack are the main plot, right? You look at it's the entire time Sam is trying to bring the main disc to the end so they can get back to the normal world. And you have Clue and Tron, who is now known as Rizzler. Is it Rizzler?
The Rizzler, yeah.
No, it's not the Rizzler. Whatever, Rezzler.
He had Riz.
You have Clue and Rezzler trying to
hide your girlfriends.
Stop them
hide
with
your
the
wives. Because the Rizzler's coming in town.
Rinsler.
When
Rizzler.
Rinsler decided to defend Flynn, and he dies, but he changes colors. I felt that. That was like, he decided to help the good users.
And that's what the plot really was lacking. That like really the only suspense you get is you convince the dad to take the disc with him, and he ends up joining him, and they sneak behind a couple boxes, and then there's a couple planes, and it's the end. Like the plot really was nothing. The sci-fi, the action, the design of the bikes, the music, there's so much stuff we could talk about that are foundational for me that just like made me watch the movie a ton and like just repeat scenes on Netflix over time.
When it gets to those highs, it hits. But when it gets to the lows, it's like low. It's an entertaining movie. It's not a impactful and story-driven movie.
You know what movie did the world building great? Blade Runner 2049. There you feel like you're learning kind of what that universe is, and all the interactions and dialogue was very esoteric.
Right.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Apologize for the word.
So now we're going to go on to cinematography. But before we do that...
Here's a word from our sponsor.
The Lawnmower 5.0.
They're not...
No.
No.
I think that the thing that Tron Legacy has for cinematography is the CGI. It's cool with the neon. It's very aesthetically pleasing, and that's why I like this movie. It made the movie.
I am going to stand by this, at least for me, because I've seen it so many times and it was just a nostalgic movie. This movie is a masterpiece in terms of cinematography. Now it's done. I think of the shot of Sam taking his motorcycle, and you get that Daft Punk song rolling in the background. He's just kind of rolling through the tunnels. That's the peak where I just got grabbed by that movie. I think it has to do with just the view and angles and stuff they did with the cinematography. It just was perfect. That is the reason I got a motorcycle.
You got a motorcycle because of Tron Legacy?
Yes. Tron Legacy made me buy a motorcycle. I watched that movie at the age of 10 and repeated that scene of him driving through the highway. The peak moment for not the peak. One of the top highlights of my life and just most fulfilling things to do other than accepting Christ.
What about getting married?
No, okay. One of my
Your firstborn.
Okay. One of the peak moments of my life was when I finally got a motorcycle and I was able to go around some twisty roads and listen to that soundtrack of Tron.
We'll see how Tron Ares goes.
And that's why I'm so nervous. I just don't think they're going to even come close to the abilities Daft Punk had. I don't think anyone else could have pulled it off.
Cinematography was brilliant. It was very beautiful. Fighting in the arena with the discs and the bike scene on the grid. The bike scene is terrific. Just like, it's so good. Yeah. It's so good. The so CGI good. For what they created for this movie in this given year, peak.
Yeah, I like the use of neon lights. I think compared to Marvel, this was maybe the intro to very digitized worlds. So this movie is very clean, but it was also very dark and used a lot of contrast. The fighting scenes, I think with the shots, it lacked a bit of that crunch that you feel with like Blade Runner 2049. Those fights just felt more impactful. This movie could have used a little more oomph, I think.
Yeah. I think Disney did that to make it more of a family-friendly film, which I agree. Now watching it again, if it had some of that more grittiness, and I think it would have done a lot better. Yeah. We were the target audience, us as kids, right, when that movie was put out.
Yeah, I think given the source material, Tron Legacy did fine. Right. It was just more of an action movie.
Exactly. This is a spoon feeding you type of movie.
Turn off the brain, just watch the action.
Exactly.
This is a Peter movie.
This is a Peter movie. The only thing that makes me want to come back and watch this movie was the fight scenes in the grid and the music. The music was phenomenal.
Daft Punk and this album from this show, I don't think there is a better sci-fi EDM album or score at all.
The story itself takes away from the greatness of the album. If the story is better, then I would have really resonated with it.
That's actually, is that a first where the soundtrack pulls you in more than the story?
That's how I am with RuneScape, I'm gonna be honest.
The soundtrack's better than the game itself?
Well, the game is very grindy and it's kind of boring, but just hearing those tunes that I listened to when I was younger, it's just nostalgic and it brings you in. I love electronic music, so having Daft Punk, someone creating the soundtrack for Tron Legacy, roped me in, and I just like the feel and the aesthetic. I love when Daft Punk showed up in like the club and they were actually DJing for the soundtrack. That was sick.
That is so cool. All right, so for our final rating, for me, excitement, 8 out of 10. Quality, 6 out of 10. And I'm mainly bringing that down because of the story. The story does not bring me back. What makes it a 6 is the cinematography and the music.
I think the excitement for Tron Legacy is a 7.5 out of 10. Some beautiful moments in the CGI and the action, and the quality because of the story kind of flopped for me. I would give it a 5 out of 10. But because of the soundtrack, is still keeping it an average rating for me.
The first third of this movie, I'm like, wow, this movie's amazing. Like, why wasn't it more popular? But then I found out why watching the rest of the movie. So I'd say entertainment for me is a 7 out of 10. And then I think the quality, probably 6.5. Garrett Hedlund, he's Sam Flynn. He's from Minnesota, so I thought that was a cool fun fact.
Oh, no way. We got to have him on the show.
Yeah.
Garrett, if you're here and you're watching this video, stop by. Come say hi.
Mm-hmm. And to clarify with Garrett, I think his performance in the movie was really good. I just think the story... writing didn't do him justice.
Yeah, he's the best part. I think for me, because of the nostalgic parts of it, I think for entertainment, I'm going to put it at a 9 out of 10. As far as quality goes, I think I'm going to put it at a 6 out of 10. I think the cinematography and the sound design is near perfect, but the story is so bad. I think that's what's taking those 4 points away. If the story was better, it could be a 9 or 10.
Let us know in the comments, how would you rate excitement and quality on Tron Legacy? We're pretty excited to see what 9 Inch Nails is going to do for music in Tron Ares. I'm a little nervous because I wish they brought back Daft Punk, but let us know in the comments what you think, and make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and we'll see you in the next video.
Game on, old friend.